But then the next 45 minutes of, okay, why isn't multiplayer connecting, completely destroyed that vibe.
Yeah. This was actually forever ago. Trying to play, Age of Empires 2 Definitive Edition. Like, multiplayer, I could connect with my cousins just fine, but for some reason, everyone but me crashed and, like, disconnected. So I auto-won every game, guaranteed.
Say it won't ever work again. If you're a Linux developer wizard, you might be able to fix it yourself, or you might end up just needing to wait for the community to patch it. But
If you're that developer wizard, then you've probably patched it and figured it out, and hopefully you've posted a guide on how to get it working, or you're in there helping other people get it working in the back end otherwise.
anything that relies on an external service that updates independently of your computer can just unexpectedly break, and that's a lot of games these days.
Yeah, I talked about this already.
So you always need to make sure that you read, especially the recent comments, rather than just relying on the rating on ProtonDB.
Yeah, read comments, that's important. Updates. Read. This is a thing that a lot of people avoid, is the whole reading portion.
Another prime example of this is Minecraft Dungeons. Works great, apparently. Well, as long as you happen to own it through Steam, rather than through Microsoft directly with the old launcher. Because in that case, apparently you can make it work. But for most people, I think it's safe to say that you're just going to have to rebuy the game.
Yeah, I don't think a lot of Microsoft stuff would, like, run very well unless you're running it through Steam.
Did you know, fellow gamers, that 78% of the top 100 games are gold or better on Linux? Wow! The truth is a lot less rosy.
And there's another big problem with Proton.
Gold, it basically means it performs well, but there are a couple things you're going to have to do.
I mentioned Escape from Tarkov earlier. It's been broken for so long that due to Battlestate Games adding anti-cheat, their Linux Discord has turned into a matchmaking channel for other games so they can have some fun while they wait.
This sounds about right. Yeah, when things break, like, there was a bit where some games, I think, from Facepunch Games, basically quietly, they removed some native support after Proton, and people were like, what? So yeah, some people argue, like, I want Linux native support, blah, 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 blah. This is one reason why Valve has pushed Proton, and, like, if nothing else, you can optimize for Proton. Like, that should work, like, make it tons easier, and if you're using Vulkan as your graphics backend, it'll make it that much more easier. So Valve has tried to do everything that they can to support everyone, and they've invested a lot of time into the Linux side specifically because Windows just works out of the box, I guess. And I've seen on the beta channel particularly where they dump in a lot of Linux updates, like a lot, trying to get the Steam Deck running. And this thing is going to run Linux, which will make it easier on developers trying to support the Steam Deck because now they have one set of hardware that they have to worry about and one set of libraries, basically, that they're going to be targeting, because the idea is to have that basically be SteamOS that they're targeting.
Genshin Impact, kind of a huge game right now, no Linux compatibility. And while I did manage to find a honestly really great Russian guide from Penguin Gang that I could probably follow, it illustrates a point that I haven't really talked about much yet. Being on Linux can take a lot of the spontaneity out of gaming. You can't just be like, oh cool, that game looks neat, and expect to be playing it in just a few minutes. I also hope you're not necessarily a fan of playing games right on launch.
Okay, so this whole spontaneity thing, like, oh, buy the game, install, and you're playing in a few minutes. For people that have a slower internet connection, you understand my pain. And Linux, I mean, you can argue that it's like, oh, well, it's just a Linux thing. It's like, even on Windows, when my slow internet connection is being dumb, when Windows decides to update, I cannot install any games at all. Okay? So that spontaneity argument that you get under like a PC gaming, that's more of a console gaming argument. And if you have to download the game and you're on slow internet, even on console, don't expect to like get the game within the next few minutes unless it's like one of those small indie games, because if you're buying a AAA game, you're probably waiting overnight for it to install or for half the day to install because your internet's not that good. I'm sorry. And I mean, I appreciate it, but sometimes even your games have updates. You go back, you play a game that's like a little bit older, and it's like, oh, sweet, that ruined that one. I'm gonna go do something else. So, I mean, I have a list of games that I can just like pop and go. And part of this is an issue with like, they're playing games that are like in Steam and not in the official repos, it seems like, too. Because that's where some of that spontaneity may come from, and being able to pick up a game and go is what kind of games you're playing. They're primarily in Steam or whatever, then okay, that may be a thing with that, but it's also a part of their taste and difference in taste as well.
After an extremely short setup, my daughter was happily hanging out in a Discord voice channel with her siblings playing Minecraft Java Edition and had no idea she was on a completely different platform.
See, that's the thing, is Java Edition works just fine. And if you install something like Multi-MC, I mean, you've basically got access to a bunch of mods. Yes, you're still going to have to do the mod tweaking for like your RAM settings so that you can have enough RAM to like load up your Feed the Beast mod pack. But you've got, like, if you use Multi-MC on Windows, which you probably do, it's basically going to be the same on Linux, what you're doing and what numbers of places you're going to be able to pull mods from for Minecraft. So Java, yeah, it's going to work just fine. That's natural.
Overall, I'm really happy I did the challenge. I learned a lot, and it gave me a lot of hope for the future, and I will absolutely be trying to stick with Linux when the Steam Deck shows up sometime next year. But, to summarize the question that we set out to answer.
Okay, so does that mean that you're going to install Windows on the Steam Deck? Because Windows will more than likely not be optimized for the Steam Deck. We know SteamOS is going to be built for the Steam Deck and optimized for it. So, I mean, that's the issue that, like, are you willing to sacrifice that? Okay, so yeah, they basically, Year of the Linux Desktop, is it going to happen this year? Maybe not. Can Valve make it happen with the Steam Deck? Probably not. But a lot of people are hyped for the Steam Deck. And Valve has put a lot of work in, I know, over the last few years, especially with Proton, to get Linux gaming, like, on par with, Windows. And, I mean, it's really cool to be able to sit there and play Skyrim at, like, Special Edition, no less, at a very smooth, at 60 frames or whatever. Even though I won't be watching a video off to the side on YouTube while I do it, it's a very smooth experience. I'm not going to have, like, games with, like, certain background things going on all the time. I mean, I was playing Monster Sanctuary a few days ago with a Discord stream going on in a voice chat, and my Monster Sanctuary was kind of running kind of choppy. Once I got out of the voice chat and stuff like that, it ran perfectly smoothly. So part of that is due to the way that, like, certain video things are optimized right now. Probably on the newer hardware somewhat too is a part of it. And, I mean, some of these things, yes, they were smoother on my GTX 1050. But again, on an RTX 3050, again, the drivers are still somewhat early, and NVIDIA is just really trash at supporting Linux. That's a part of the issue, but most of my experiences in gaming are really smooth. I'm not gonna lie. Yes, I have to switch if I want to play an anti-cheat enabled game. And no, it's not ready for gaming in a general sense. But if you're someone who enjoys the learning experience and like jumping in and getting your hands dirty, then yeah, maybe it's kind of ready for you. And that's the thing, is like, if you're willing to sit there and relax and do this, put in the hard work for it, then yeah, later on down the road, you're going to have a smoother experience. Even though the first time you're going to try, it's going to be like really, really hard to get in. But if you enjoyed this one, I know this is going to be like a long one, so I'm probably going to chop it up a little bit. But yeah, hopefully you maybe you learned something that they didn't bring up, or there were just things that you disagree on any points on either way. You can let me know and feed the algorithm in the comments that way. And you know where to look for all the links and stuff in the description, and I'll see you guys later.